Isaiah 36, roughly page 440 in the scriptures. We're looking at Jerusalem and the house of Judah being threatened by the Assyrian king here and the deliverance from Yah. Chapter 36. And it came to be in the 14th year. So Isaiah is transitioning here with the prophetic nature of his utterances thus far, or at least for the last few chapters in Isaiah, now to like a factual thing that happened. Okay? So we're back into the time of Isaiah now, that this is what happened during the time of Isaiah, son of Amoz. So this is being reported in chapter 36 and 37. It came to be in the 14th year of the king Hezekiah, or Hezekiah, that Sanherib, king of Ashur, the Assyrians, came up against all the walled cities of Judah and took them. And the king of Ashur sent the Rabshakeh, with a great army from Lachish to King Hezekiah at Jerusalem. So he sent the Rabshakeh, kind of like the top guy, to Jerusalem with a great army. So they've already taken all the other walled cities in the kingdom of Judah, which was the tribal allotment of the land of Judah and the land of Benjamin. And then within the house of Judah, you have Judah, Benjamin, and approximately 2/3-ish of the Levites. So the king of Ashur, the Assyrian king, sends one of his top dudes with this great army up to Jerusalem to speak to King Hezekiah, the king of Judah. And he, the Rabshakeh, stood by the channel of the upper pool on the highway to the launderer's field. And there came to him Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, who was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and Yehoa, the son of Asaph, the recorder. And so kind of the head dude of the house, the scribe, and the recorder for the tribe of Judah, the house of Judah, come out and speak to this guy. The Rabshakeh then said to them, and what is the Rabshakeh? Let's look at this through the wonders of modern technology. What is that actually translated to in English? I mean, in the ASV says the Rabshakeh or Rabshakeh as a name rather than the. What does Darby say? Sent Rabshakeh. Okay. What does the complete Jewish Bible say? The Ravshakeh. Alright. Sounds like it's a dude's name that is also a title. Then we shall go with it. The Rabshakeh then said to them, Please say to Hezekiah, the king of Judah, Thus said the great king, the king of Ashur, the Assyrians, What trust is this in which you trust? I say, You speak of having counsel and strength for battle, but they are vain words. Now in whom do you trust that you have rebelled against me? Look, you are trusting in the staff of this broken reed, Mitzrayim, Egypt, on which if a man leans it shall go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, the king of Mitzrayim, to all who trust in him. But if you say to me, We trust in Yahweh or Elohim, is it not he whose high places and whose slaughter places Hezekiah has taken away? No. Negative. What was taken away in the high places were the places of false worship, and so there's a lack of understanding here amongst the Assyrians of the proper worship of the Hebrews. Makes total sense. There's still, today, a lack of understanding of the proper worship of Elohim amongst the heathens, and amongst many who claim to be his people as well. So, Shomeron, anyone? Shomeron? But if you say to me, We trust in Yahweh or our Elohim, is it not he whose high places and whose slaughter places Hezekiah has taken away, and who has said to Judah and to Jerusalem, Bow yourselves before this slaughter place? And now I urge you, please give a pledge to my master, the king of Ashur, and I give you 2,000 horses, if you are able on your part to put riders on them. How do you refuse one officer of the least of my master's servants, and put your trust in Mitzrayim for chariots and horsemen? And now I have come up without Yahweh against this land to destroy it. Yahweh said to me, go up against this land and destroy it. So this dude from Ashur, the Assyrians, comes to Judah and basically says, who are you trusting in? Oh, your friends the Egyptians? We don't lean on Pharaoh. He's a nobody compared to my king. We'll schwack his pee-pee so hard. Oh, you believe in Yah? Isn't it Yah that sent me up here to destroy this place? So how about instead of me destroying this place, you just pledge allegiance to me. I'll give you 2,000 horses, if you're even able to put riders on 2,000 horses. If you even have 2,000 men left, I'll give you 2,000 horses. We'll call everything a hunky-dory. It also shows a total misunderstanding of Yah. Now, maybe Yah did say to the Assyrians, hey, go destroy all that stuff, because vengeance is mine, so saith the Lord. But he 100% uses subcontractors. So maybe the Assyrians are being subcontractors in this regard. But maybe they also have a fundamental misunderstanding of equating the God of Hebrews to one of their false gods. That one of their false gods said, hey, you go up and do this thing. And they did, believing that they heard a word from God, and that God must be the same God as the Hebrews. No. Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. Elohim, the great I am. Yod He Vav He. There is only one. And I doubt that it was the same, that he is the God that the Assyrians were serving. Now, and Elikim, verse 11, Elikim, Shivna, and Yehua, or Yehua, said to the Rabshakeh, please speak to your servants in Aramaic, for we understand it, and do not speak to us in the language of Judah, in the hearing of all the people who are on the wall. They're like, whoa, bro, simmer down. Let's speak in Aramaic. We understand Aramaic, but you keep going on in Hebrew. Everybody up there on the wall is going to hear you, and we don't want them to hear you. But the Rabshakeh said, has my master sent me to your master and to you to speak these words, and not to the men who sit on the wall? It's like, what's the problem with the men who sit on the wall? To eat their own dung and drink their own urine with you? Because they're going to starve them out. Right, this massive army. There's going to be nothing left to eat, nothing left to drink. And the Rabshakeh stood and called with a loud voice in the language of Judah, and said, hear the words of the great king, the king of Ashur. Thus said the king, do not let Hezekiah, the king of Judah, deceive you, for he is unable to deliver you. And do not let Hezekiah make you trust in Yahweh, saying, Yahweh shall certainly deliver us. This city is not given into the hand of the king of Ashur. Alright, so very clearly, the Assyrians are not working for Yah. Do not listen to Hezekiah, for thus said the king of Ashur, make peace with me by a present, and come out to me, and let each of you eat from his own vine, and each from his own fig tree, and each of you drink the waters of his own cistern, until I come. Then I shall take you away to a land like your own land, a land of grain and new wine, a land of bread and vineyards. Sounds a lot like when Yah brought them into the promised land in the first place. This offer here, like a land, overflowing with milk and honey and great crops and wonderful harvests and giant grapes. And it sounds a lot like what Yah gave them when they first came into the promised land. But of course, these people aren't working for Yah. Beware lest Hezekiah mislead you. This being the Rabshakeh speaking on behalf of the Assyrians, saying, Yahweh shall deliver us. Has any one of the mighty ones of the nations delivered its land from the hand of the king of Ashur? Where are the mighty ones of Hamath and Arpad? Where are the mighty ones of Sepharvaim? And when have they delivered Shomron from my hand? He's like, nobody else has been able to stand against us. Who are you to think that with your Yahweh that you're going to be able to stand against us? But the men of the wall, they were silent and answered him not a word. For the command of the king was, do not answer him. And Eliakim, the son of Hiliaku, said, who was over the household, Shebna, the scribe, and Yehwa, the son of Asaph, the recorder, came to Hezekiah, the king of Judah, with their garments torn, and they reported to him the words of the Rabshakeh. So they let the king know what was going on here. Basically, submit or be utterly destroyed. Choice is yours. And oh, by the way, let me mock your God, the creator of the universe, while I'm at it. Probably a bad idea. Just a general policy. Just a general life policy for all of us. Little takeaway here. Maybe don't mock the creator of the universe and question his power and authority. Because, well, we'll read chapter 37, but because. We'll start with because Dad said so, Exodus 20, the 10 commands. And then we can move on from there with because Dad said so. If you do it, he will whip your ass. I know. Bear said a bad word in a Bible video. Whatever. Grow up. Chapter 37. And it came to be, when King Hezekiah heard it, that he tore his clothes and covered himself with sackcloth and went into the house of Yahweh, the temple, and sent Eliakim, who was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and the elders of the priests, covering themselves with sackcloth, to Yeshayahu, to Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amoz. Okay, they're like, hey, call in the big guns. We need Isaiah, Yeshayahu, the son of Amoz. And they said to him, thus said Hezekiah. Now, I understand there's a lot of challenging names for which many have very little context being thrown around out here, which is why I'm continuously saying, thus said Hezekiah, footnote, the king of Judah, so that you're keeping track of who's talking to who, where, when, what, why, how here, okay? So, Hezekiah, the king of Judah. And they said to him, thus said Hezekiah, the king of Judah, this day is a day of distress and rebuke and scorn, for the children have come to birth, but there is no strength to bring forth. It's like a day that a baby's about to be born, but the mother doesn't have the strength to push. It could be that Yahweh, your Elohim, does hear the words of the Rabshakeh, whom his master, the king of Ashur, has sent to reproach the living Elohim, to speak against the living Elohim, well, bad news, and shall rebuke the words which Yahweh your Elohim has heard. Likely. Therefore lift up your prayer for the remnant that is left. Hey, why don't all of y'all, this is not me putting words in Isaiah's mouth, but I can, from a leadership standpoint, I can see this. Hey, how about instead of me talking to Yah for all of y'all, how about all of y'all talk to Yah about this together? Let's pray. Y'all pray. We pray. I pray. Lift up your prayers, the remnant, those who are left. Go ahead. And it's interesting because you can almost get the indication of a subcontracting of faith here to Isaiah. Right now, the king, Hezekiah, is in the temple. That's good. That's good. But they also went to Isaiah to see what Isaiah would say. Like, hey, man, maybe, like, you could pray for us? And he's like, hey, maybe y'all could, like, the whole remnant, therefore lift up your prayer for the remnant that is left. Like, maybe all of y'all could, like, pray for yourself, too. I don't know. Again, this is not me putting words in Isaiah's mouth. It's just from a leadership standpoint, given my experience thus far doing community and faith, I could see where Isaiah might be coming from here. So the servants of Hezekiah came to Isaiah, and Isaiah said to them, say this to your master. Thus said Yahweh, do not be afraid of the words which you have heard, with which the servants of the king of Ashur have reviled me. Step one, like right out the gate, this is what Yah's like, dude, do not be afraid of this jerk, with which he used these scary words that reviled me. Like, let's just get that straight. The first thing, Say this to your master. Thus said Yahweh, do not be afraid. Literally the first words. Do not be afraid of the words which you have heard, from which the servants of the king of Ashur have reviled me. And this, remember, this Rabshakeh, he's showing up with this massive army. He's surrounding Jerusalem. He's conquered everything else around him. He's talking trash to the representatives of the king of Judah. And he's like, yeah, you could surrender, or you could be eating your own dung and drinking your own urine as we slaughter you. Choice is yours, homie. And I could give you 2,000 horses if you even have 2,000 men left to sit on them, And straight out the gate, Yah's like, don't be afraid of this jerk. That's power. That's authority. And that's mini lesson here for us is we have to remember that. You're surrounded. You have no resources to bring to bear. You can't see a way out of this. You're maybe even negotiating with evil. And Yah's like, dude, do not be afraid. Why didn't you let me know sooner? How come we didn't talk about this sooner? Right out the gate. Do not be afraid of the words which you have heard, with which the servants of the king of Ashur have reviled me. See, I am putting a spirit in him, and he shall hear a report and return to his own land. And I shall cause him to fall by the sword in his own land. And the Rabshakeh returned and found the king of Ashur fighting against Libnah, for he had heard that he had left Lachish. And he heard concerning Tirhanach, king of Cush, he has come out to fight with you. And when he heard it, he sent messengers to Hezekiah, saying, so on the back end of this military action that the king of Ashur is taking, right, he's afield. Now, it sounds like that Libnah has left Lachish to go fight against the king of Ashur because he may have left his rear flank open because he's out in the field doing this stuff, right? And he heard concerning Tirhanach, king of Cush, he has come to fight with you. And when he heard it, he sent messengers to Hezekiah, saying, speak to Hezekiah, the king of Judah, saying, do not let your Elohim, in whom you trust, deceive you. Yeah, so clearly, the Assyrians, Ashur, not fans of Elohim. Elohim does not deceive. He will not let his word return to him void. And that's the first thing out of the gate here is, do not be afraid of these jerks. Don't be afraid of their words. Well, what do they come back with? Speak to Hezekiah, the king of Judah, saying, do not let your Elohim in whom you trust deceive you, saying, Jerusalem is not given into the hand of the king of Ashur. See, you have heard what the king of Ashur has done to all the lands by putting them under the ban. And are you going to be delivered? Have the mighty ones of the nations delivered those whom my father has destroyed, Gozan and Haran and Retseph, and the sons of Eden who were in Telassar? Where is the king of Hamath, and the king of Arpad, and the king of the city of Sepharvaim, Hena and Eva? And Hezekiah received the letter from the hand of the messengers and read it. So basically this trash-talking threat, don't believe in Elohim. Believe in our military might with which we've wrecked all these other people. So Hezekiah received the letter and read it, and Hezekiah went up into the house of Yahweh and spread it before Yahweh. Remember, like a scroll, right? Rolled it out, smushed it flat. And Hezekiah prayed to Yahweh, saying, O Yahweh of hosts, Elohim of Israel, the one, Shema Yisrael, right? The one who dwells between the cherubim. You are Elohim, you alone of all the reigns of the earth. You have made the heavens and the earth. Incline your ear, O Yahweh, and hear. Open your eyes, O Yahweh, and see. And hear all the words of Sanherib, who has sent to reproach the living Elohim. I love this. Hezekiah is going back to Yah, and he's like, hey, Dad, they said even more bad stuff about you. Open your eyes, open your ears. Look at what they said. Truly, Yahweh, the king of Ashur, have laid waste to all the lands and their land, and have put mighty ones into the fire, for they were not mighty ones, but the work of men's hands, wood and stone, and they destroyed them. I get the question all the time, is insert an icon here, a graven image. is a cross or a stake or a sculpture, or is this a graven image? Listen, I don't use any of that stuff. I'm not into iconography. And iconoclasm, I believe, is what it was referred to. It became a reason for a papal schism at one point. The argument is, what is veneration? Do we venerate this water bottle? Are we worshiping the water bottle? Or are we using the water bottle by venerating it, to focus on it, to bring our attention to this thing that makes us think about God and therefore brings us closer to God? And all of that, is arguments between men. Yah said, make no graven images. So I think and I'm saying this anecdotally, if you find yourself asking these questions about graven images, is this a graven image? Is that a graven image? Maybe you should just go with the fact that the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, is convicting you concerning graven images, and stop trying to negotiate. I'm going to get rid of this, but I'm going to keep this. I'm going to get rid of that, but I'm going to keep this, right? Idols of wood and stone. If it falls into the category of idols and wood and stone, I probably wouldn't have much to do with it. Well, I personally wouldn't have anything to do with it. That's just where I'm at with that. I don't need 2 overlaid pieces of wood at a 90-degree angle to remind me of what Yeshua did for me. I know what Yeshua did for me every day. If I'm having a truly mindful and spiritual day, it's something that's on my mind every hour. Like, I don't need a reminder. Maybe the move there is to conduct your life in such a way that you don't need reminders of how awesome Elohim is. You don't need reminders of how awesome Yeshua was, and Yeshua is, and Yeshua will be when he returns. I think that's the move there. Not trying to justify the reminders that you have. So, and have put their mighty ones into the fire, for they were not mighty ones, but the work of men's hands, wood and stone, and they destroyed them. And now, O Yahweh our Elohim, save us from his hand, so that all the reigns of the earth know that you are Yahweh, you alone. Hey, Dad, I need you to show up, please and thank you, because all these jerks be thinking that you are equated to these wooden and stone false gods who have been destroyed. And if you could just show up and do that thing where you smoke check everybody who's not yours, we would really appreciate that, so that the whole nation would know that you are Yah, you alone. That's a badass prayer. Like, that's an awesome prayer. Then Isaiah, son of Amoz, sent to Hezekiah, saying, Thus said Yahweh, Elohim of Israel, because you have prayed to me against Sanherib, king of Ashur, this is the word which Yahweh has spoken concerning him. Now this is interesting, because the king prayed in the temple to Yah, and then Yah came to Isaiah and spoke to Isaiah and said, bring this message back to the king. So Isaiah is the mouthpiece. Super cool. This is the word which Yahweh has spoken concerning him, Sanherib, the king of Ashur. The maiden, the daughter of Zion, has despised you, mocked you. The daughter of Jerusalem has shaken her head behind you. Whom have you reproached and reviled? And against whom have you raised your voice and lifted up your eyes in pride? Against the set-apart one of Israel. By the hand of your servants you have reproached Yahweh, and have said, with many chariots I have come up to the height of the mountains, to the limits of Lebanon, and I cut down its tall cedars and its choice cypress trees, and I enter its farthest heights, its thickest forest. I have dug and drunk water, and with the soles of my feet I have dried up all the streams of defense. Have you not heard long ago how I made it from the days of old, that I formed it? Oh, you cut down some forests? I made them. You dried up a stream? I made that. Now I have brought it about, that you should be for crushing walled cities into heaps of ruins. and their inhabitants were powerless. They were overthrown and put to shame. They were as the grass of the field, as the green plant, as the grass on the housetops, and as the grain blighted before it is grown. But I know you're sitting down, and you're going out, and you're coming in, and you rage against me. So I may have ordained you to destroy all these other cities. But I made all this stuff, and you're serving me whether you acknowledge or not. I know you're sitting down. I know you're going out, you're coming in, and you rage against me. Because your rage against me and your pride have come up to my ears, I shall put my hook in your nose and my bridle in your lips, and I shall turn you back the way which you came. And this shall be a sign for you. This year you eat such as it grows of itself, and the second year what springs from that, and in the third year sow and reap, plant vineyards, and eat the fruit of them. And the remnant who have escaped of the house of Judah shall again take root downward, and be fruitful upward. Out of context here, but the remnant that escaped from Judah shall again take root downward and be fruitful upward. That's an awesome, mini prophecy right there. For out of Jerusalem comes forth the remnant, and those who escape from Mount Zion. The ardor of Yahweh of hosts does this. Therefore thus said Yahweh concerning the king of Ashur, he does not come into this city, nor does he shoot an arrow there, nor does he come before it with shield, nor does he build a siege mount against it. By the way that he came, by the same he turns back, and into this city he does not come, declares Yahweh. And I shall defend this city, to save it for my own sake, for the sake of my servant David. And a messenger of Yahweh went out, an angel of Yahweh went out. And I just want to pause here for a moment, because there are people who will say, even Torah teachers who will say, God is only love. Well, it depends on whether or not you are on Team Yah. Because he reproves and instructs those that he loves. But a lot of the times, his love looks like this. So be careful when you say, God is only this, God is only that. We don't get to label the depths of Elohim. We don't know them. Deuteronomy 29:29. Deuteronomy 29, verse 29. The secret matters belong to Yahweh or Elohim, but what is revealed belongs to us and our children forever, to do all the words of this Torah. The secret matters belong to Yahweh or Elohim, but what is revealed belongs to us and our children forever, to do all the words of this Torah. So, don't tell me what Yah is, I will let Yah tell me what Yah is. Especially if what you tell me what Yah is goes counter to what Yah told me Yah is. Makes it awful difficult to believe you going forward. And the messenger of Yahweh went out and struck the camp of Ashur, the Assyrians, 185,000. This is an incredible miracle, still venerated, still revered, still discussed and celebrated in Judaism, Rabbinic Judaism today. This angel of death from Yah goes out and kills 185,000 men that night. And the messenger went out and struck in the camp of Ashur 185,000, and they arose early in the morning and saw all of them dead bodies. That's a huge, first of all, that's a huge army. Second of all, that's a huge number of casualties. 185,000? That's massive. And Sanherib, the king of Ashur, broke camp and went away and turned back and remained at Nineveh. And it came to be as he was bowing himself in the house of Nisroch, his false god, that his sons Adramelech and Sharetzar struck him with the sword. And they escaped into the land of Ararat. And his son Esarhaddon reigned in his place. So, kind of the moral of the story here. You come and threaten Yah's people and talk trash about Yah to his face. Yah's people are going to cry out. They should cry out and say, hey, are you going to allow this to stand? And Yah's going to say, first of all, don't be afraid of these jerks. Second of all, I got you, boo. Third of all, how does 185K dead in one night sound? And you didn't have to lift a finger. Because his word will not return to him void. And I guess lastly, if we see this and we know it and we onboard it in the OT, here the Old Testament with these prophecies and these things like this, it's really important to understand, like this dovetails perfectly into Malachi 3 verse 6. I'm the Lord Yahweh Sabaoth, I change not. He didn't change what he said ever. And so be careful of false doctrine. Yeshua himself, Messiah, says, beware the leaven of the Pharisees, right? False doctrine. Be careful of the leaven of the Big C church, the false doctrine that we have today, saying that was done away with. It was fulfilled. That one word, fulfilled, in Matthew 5:17. There is so much bad doctrine that hangs on that one word, fulfilled. He fulfilled the Torah. Yeah, but anybody with the strongest concordance and 92 seconds worth of effort can realize that that word fulfilled is the Greek word plerau, which means he became it. It doesn't mean complete. He became it. And so all this back to his word will not return to him void. If the Father will smoke check 185,000 Assyrians overnight for insulting his people and insulting himself and questioning his word, it might be a good idea, A, to know what his word is, and B, to do it. Because he is the Lord Yahweh Sabaoth. He changes not. And you don't want to be on the receiving end of that. So, Isaiah 36 and 37. Bless y'all. Shabbat Shalom.